What are we doing that for, Ron?
This is how I want to start the show today. This just got real serious.
Yeah.
Randy's got a knife.
I always have a knife. You don't have a knife in your pocket at all times. Oh, I just about knocked off my Cambridge speaker. got all fancy in my pantsy, about knocked over my white, beautiful speaker.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man. How are you? How's it going?
It's going.
Yeah. You don't sound happy.
No, I'm happy. We're gonna try to do our best to talk about a topic today.
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna mute myself so I can cough.
Okay. For those that are just joining us, Randy's been a little bit under the weather, but he is half man, half amazing, so I think he's gonna be just fine. There he is.
Fire it up. Yeah, I can do this.
Up.
We're going to soldier through. Oh, my goodness. We're going to soldier through this.
Yeah, and I believe, and you guys will be the first to let us know, I think we have solved the microphone volume problems.
We're going to find out in the comments.
We'll find out in a quick hurry in the comments section because these guys get excited about talking to us in the comments section.
I wonder if they can hear that.
I know I can, and it sounds beautiful. I think you should do that the entire time, the whole time.
Yeah, it's not annoying at all.
All right, buddy, let's get started. Folks, thank you so much for joining the Ron and Randy's Audio Hour podcast.
Good to be here, Ron.
It's good to be here.
Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah. We talk a whole lot of nonsense and try to discuss things about hi-fi, and we're typically...
if your microphone thing wasn't in front of those speakers, it would look like a print ad for those speakers. It's so pretty, the lighting on it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. JBL HDI 3600s. I just got done reviewing them. I'm done. Yeah. I feel a weight off my shoulders, and I feel good.
Like furniture grade mahogany.
Yeah, real pretty. $4,000, so it better be real veneer, So
I find that hilarious that $4,000 gets you real wood veneer, which is like 2 millimeters of wood.
Yeah. Like sometimes
for $4,000, you should get it chiseled out of stone, so it's inert, super inert.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's today's topic, right? Diminishing returns is what we're going to be jumping into.
Yeah, I think it starts about $22. Everything after 22. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, Ron.
No, you're fine, dude. What's new in your audio world before we jump into diminishing returns and make a mess of this?
I had female Black Panther come on the show.
Oh, is that right? How did that go? Was she aggressive?
No, she was real nice.
Real polite.
Very nice, very well spoken. No issues like with translation at all. She liked the JBLs. Wish they came in wish the woofer was a different color, and then was interested to know if they're available in Wakanda.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, then there you go.
Mm-hmm.
You like those little JBLs?
I do, and I didn't know they measured well, and that made me sad that I liked them. And then I found out that they measured well.
Yeah.
Actually, it kind of I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess my ears are okay. That I like the way they sounded, but yeah. I don't know. It's still, I like to be a rebel.
Yeah.
No, JBLs were awesome. I got a yummy tube amp, Fluctuation Fire. The Rysong Alpha 1010.
Oh, wow.
And I gotta tell you, I don't even think I need to do the review because it's awesome.
There you go.
It's awesome. I'm just gonna do a review though.
Yeah. What are you hearing right away? What is the first thing that you're like, oh?
Instrument separation.
Okay.
Just openness, realism. It goes from music to sounding like a performance instantly.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. And it's not like I'm not running on good amps. It's just all of a sudden it's different.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like hugely different from a sound perspective, but hugely different from an experience perspective.
Wow.
And if you'd have told me that before I got it, I would have said you're taking crazy pills.
Crazy pills. Yeah.
I mean,
Some audiophiles are. Yeah.
Yeah. Are they under psychiatric care?
I think Guttenberg is. I think he's. Yeah. I think Guttenberg is. He'll pull through. I believe in Guttenberg. He'll make it.
Yeah. I actually think Steve's probably one of the more well-balanced individuals in this hobby.
Yeah.
Because if you say something to Steve that he doesn't like, he just goes,
Yeah. Okay.
eh.
Yeah. Nah, he's a sweetheart of a guy. I like Steve a lot. Yeah, tubes, man. So kind of just a realistic performance, instrument separation.
Yeah, there's a thickness to, or a fullness to the mid-range.
Yeah.
That I haven't heard. Like, I mean, I've heard it. I don't know. It just seems like, and this is so esoteric the way I'm describing this. It just seemed like it rounded things out and it brought things. I don't know, man. It just made things more realistic. Like, if I closed my eyes, then it just, I don't know. It seemed like stuff was real. Not music anymore. And don't get me wrong, I've had that kind of similar experience, but it still felt two-dimensional, but in space from like a vertical and lateral. Still felt 2D. Now it feels like, okay, it feels like it's putting things in the room, different places, but now it feels like it's 3D real.
Yeah, 3-dimensional. Yeah.
And it's not that expensive to get this experience.
How much is it?
I don't know. So it's from ChinaHiFiAudio.com.
Okay.
And over there, like if you get it from them, it's like $250. Now I don't know what shipping is to the US. But then you can also get it on Amazon from Tube Store. And it's like $460.
That's weird.
But, yeah, China Hi-Fi was great, and it got here in less than a week.
Wow. So I wonder if Amazon is including shipping with that. Maybe that's part of the price difference that we're seeing. I'm curious. Huh.
Well, I don't know if it's coming from the same people. Okay, right. Rysong A10 EL34 says not available on China Hi-Fi's website.
Oh.
Never mind. I'll have to ask them. They have an A20 that's available. That's $335.
Okay.
I guess it's only available on Amazon. Let's see how much it is on Amazon. Amazon Rysong. I like it when I'm sick because my voice sounds cool.
Yeah, you do sound pretty cool.
Yeah. $450 on Amazon, which I would argue still is awesome.
Yeah. $450. Okay. Well, dude, that's awesome. Anything else going on in your audio world? Anything else that is new and exciting and kind of interesting?
I'm on a gag order on some very awesome speakers that I listened to last night with the tube.
Ooh.
Yeah, Ron. It's very exciting. It's the first review that I want to do like fancy schmancy. I want to be fancy in my fancy with it and do like camera stuff. I want to do camera stuff with it.
You want to do you want to turn on the camera and get the camera going?
Yeah, I want to do some apertures and a focal length and depth of fields.
You could
depths of fields.
Well, you could always reach out to your phone's lighting up. Do you got to take a call?
No, I'm just saying it's lighting up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah. Get
What were
out
you
of here,
saying?
phone. I was going to say you could always contact the DMX network and they can help you with apertures and maybe put some piano stuff in the background. I'm sure he could do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna put my R2D2 mug forward and slightly out of focus, and then the magic speakers behind it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting, dude. Very cool. I also have some magic speakers that will be out in late March. So it's entirely possible it might be the same brand that you are.
It's doubtful.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Exciting
What
stuff,
else
Randy.
is new? Yeah, I got a whole bunch of stuff here. I got the Blue Sound Node 2i, Orchard Audio, Pecan Pie, an SMSL amp. Yeah. Lox G amp. I think I've talked about that. Ooh, the Crown amp, like the it's still Class D amp. It's not little, but they use it in like PA systems and stuff. And then audiophiles are like, no, let's use that.
That's cool.
So I have that. And then
well, that's cool.
Yeah. What? How about you? You seem. Oh, I also got Q acoustic stuff in 3020, 3030i.
Very exciting. I also have the Q Acoustics Concept 300s. They're out for delivery, so I'll be playing with those. That's what's
you just
going
did
on
those.
here. I did the 500s. I haven't done the bookies. The bookies with the tripod.
Are those the? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
the fancy stands.
Tripod
is that the
stands.
Yeah, the ones that look stupid. It looks. I'm sorry, I'm medicated.
Hey, Nick, if you're watching, that's what Randy said, not me. That's what Randy, the cheap audio man, not MacGyver over here. I did not say that about your speaker stands.
I'm sure they're great from Q Acoustics, and I bet they're very affordable too. They're probably like $99 a pair. $50?
Yes, that's it.
You got it. $7.50. I have folding metal bar stools with a cushion on top from Walmart, and I sent a picture to Ron because I thought it was funny, because I saw a picture of those funny speaker stands that had all the legs that going everywhere, and looked like an octopus. And then I sent a picture of Ron of my folding bar stools. So I said, "Hey Ron, look at my fancy speaker stands. It's just like you. I have the fancy ones, just like Andrew Robinson. Do you see it?
You did it. You did it."
And Ron was like, "That's a bar stool.
It's a bar stool. It's a cheap bar stool, resonating away."
How much those are? It isn't.
I wonder.
It's got a soft surface it's sitting on. Q Acoustics speaker tripod. Q Acoustics. Keep talking, man.
I think they are hundreds of dollars for those stands. I believe hundreds of dollars. But
I bet you're right.
I'm excited. I'm curious. I was a big fan of the Concept 500 and get to tackle the 300s, which will be fun.
Those are super deep, right? Those. Oh, hold on. I'm getting close.
Oh, boy.
Well, they have some like somewhat tradition. Oh, no, they're there. Are they the Tensagretti speaker stand?
Sure. Yes.
No, okay, wait a minute. Concept 300 speaker stands. Okay. Yeah, they're only $999.
They're $1,000 for stands.
I'm just going to shut my mouth at this point.
This is going to be the episode that Randy's going to lose his mind.
What do they do? I mean, do they gather energy from the room and then transfer it into the speaker?
Yes. I don't know. We're going to find out. I mean, it's my job to find out.
Like Tesla style? Like they're just grabbing electricity out of the atmosphere?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel about a $999 stand? I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
How do I feel about it?
Yeah. How do you feel about that? First of all, let me back up. How important do you think it is to have a high quality speaker stand underneath your bookshelf speakers?
I think it's very important, and I have experienced it.
What happens when you have a couple milk crates?
You have resonance that bleeds into the milk crates, into the floor. It's just not a proper way to isolate the loudspeaker from the substrate. That's not the way to do it.
Okay. What is the most affordable way to do it? Cinder blocks?
Monoprice makes what I consider very good, affordable stands. I think they're around $60 a pop. They have 4 steel columns that you can fill with kitty litter, sand, things like that. And I like
Lucky
those stands.
Charms?
Lucky Charms, I would not recommend it, but you could do Lucky Charms. And I think those are very good. I like them a lot.
Okay. So let's say we tackle the stand, and the stands are perfect, all right? Not resonating and at all.
Yeah.
Don't you have to start worrying about what's right next to your speaker? Like a lamp? Leave a lamp over there. Is that going to resonate?
Well, if it's properly isolated, no. That's the purpose
lamp
of the
or the
stand.
speaker?
Well, the stand is there's a lot of different concepts with stands, but if it's properly isolating the loudspeaker, then no, the lamp wouldn't be resonating.
Okay, even though it's getting hit by frequencies from the speaker?
Oh, you're talking about from the speaker hitting the lamp over there. No, I'm talking about vibrations that are going through the floor from milk crates and wonky solutions. Yeah.
So my homemade stands are probably horrible.
Maybe.
I have some furniture things in between the speaker, though.
Maybe.
Does that count?
Maybe.
I'm sorry. We just went down a rabbit hole.
We did. But we're talking about diminishing returns today, so I think this is fair. This is all part of the conversation. Do I think that these stands are worth $1,000? Hell if I know, Randy. I got to review them and figure it out and see.
Yeah, that's kind of mean of me to say that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I think that they do have a look, a very polarizing look that you're either going to go, or you're going to go, oh, that looks actually really classy and that looks really neat. And I don't think you're going to find much of an in-between with these because it's a very unique design, right? Mm-hmm. What I would say about stands, in my experience, is I once reviewed the Bucar S300s, real bassy speaker. That woofer it'll punch you right in the mouth. I mean, big time. It'll get you
like a longshoreman, like a 35-year-old longshoreman.
You're gonna wake up a week later and regret the things you said about his wife. It was not a good idea.
Yeah. Knock the goatee right off your face.
Right off your face. S300s hit like a tank, and the stands that came with the S300s were 1/2-inch MDF and not great quality MDF. Well, I just plopped them down on the stands and I played them, and the amount of bass leakage and resonance that was going on was wild. And there were times where I was listening at loudspeaker where I was like, this dude singing, everybody singing sounds like Barry White. I was just getting so much chesty coloration in all the vocals that it drove me crazy. Later down the road, you fill up the stands with sand as instructed in the manual, like you're supposed to do that. You put the speakers back up on top of it. Cleaned it all up. It was a surprising experience that I didn't see coming, and it blew my mind how big of a difference that made in cleaning up specifically mid bass and bass,
Mm-hmm.
mostly mid bass. So I think that there could have been a frequency when that woofer is hitting that the empty chamber inside of that speaker stand was now lighting up. It was lighting
Wow. Yeah.
ooh, like blowing into a
Mm.
Coke bottle. You know, it's just like wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't sound very good until we put
Well,
sand in it.
it's interesting because I've tested or listened. We don't have to say test. I have listened to over probably 45 pairs of speakers in the last 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay. The majority of those have been placed on my horrible homemade speaker stands.
Mm-hmm.
And not once have I been like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. But my stands are also kind of like hollow, right? So I don't know. You know what I'd have to listen to a bad stand, which I've probably been listening to, and then listen to a good stand.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. You just got to experiment, you know, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
So,
What about like glass? Is that a good stand substrate?
I don't know so much about glass. I think that I once talked to Andrew Jones about this when I was talking about this type of like damping characteristics, and he made it sound like different types of materials which together
Resonate at different. Yeah, of course they do.
is
Yeah.
is a good idea. Like that's you would actually
Oh,
want that.
okay.
So it's like tackling different instead of
Like
just
lead, water, steel.
man. I'm not Andrew. I speak for him, but it was something along those lines.
That's what a
So
secondary shield is made up of in a nuclear submarine. So, like if you had like a glass stand though, and then you remember the things where people would be like, "Ah," and then the glass would break. I wonder if that would happen to your stands.
Maybe. Yes. Maybe. Not good. So
I hope the kids have shoes on.
Yes. One thing I will say is with those Concept 500s, those will jack you up in a quick hurry because it seems like no matter how loud you play those speakers, you don't feel the effects of the speakers in the environment. And what I mean by that is all too often you get some big towers rocking and rolling. You feel like bass in the floor and walls are rumbling and things are shaking. Not with the Concept 500s. You just have a performance in the room that just gets louder and more realistic sounding as you turn up the volume. And it's
cool.
It's a mind melter of an experience that when you have those resonances removed and taken away, and you're left with the performance, it's a discovery, Randy. It really is. And so
when the bass hits hard though, do you still like feel it in your chest?
Oh yeah. Yep. It's
okay.
It's you have
but
energy
like
in the room.
Your table's not your table's gonna rattle too though, right?
I'm not getting as much rattling like on my side panels, the walls, as I normally do. If I have like my A-Trim subs or anything else, like I know some of the locations in my room that I always notice little rattles. And with the Concept 500s, it just seems like it's just cleaner. It's just, wow. It's trippy, dude. So resonance is a thing.
Now you got my interest.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I tell you, resonance is a thing because Q Acoustics, that's how they make their enclosures. They put a little insert into it and then slam it together with like a sandwich. Yeah. And then, I mean, that's what they're known for. It obviously makes a difference because that's kind of a patented part of their speaker design.
Dual gel core technology, if my memory serves me right. It's different layers of MDF sandwiched with a non-settling gel. And so the cabinet walls, resonance-free is the way to be.
Yeah, and I think the front baffle, even on the 3020s, was like an inch thick.
Yeah. So
when you say, I just thought of Oreos for some reason, double thick Oreos.
Yeah. It's kind of like that, Randy. It's a lot like a Oreo cookie.
I'd like to believe it is. Like Q Acoustics' little secret on the inside, it's double stuff yumminess.
Let's get off our Q Acoustics soapbox and stand.
I'm sorry.
You don't need to apologize to me or anybody, Randy, because
I feel like I hijacked a plane and then took it off course.
we're going this way over here.
We're just going to fly this thing out into the middle of the desert for about 30 minutes.
So, do you want me to kick this off, or would you like to kick this off? Diminishing returns.
Dude, you don't. I mean, you probably maybe you want to know my opinion, but I mean,
do want to. Of course, I do.
I probably think it's pretty low. However, I have started to experience, and I'm not going to say I have started to hear different. I've started to experience different things that I surmise may be more apparent and commonplace amongst higher priced pieces of equipment.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. So that's your starting viewpoint then. Okay.
Yeah, I say, okay, for me, it's like 500, 600, 700 bucks, maybe 1,000 if it's really nice towers. And then, all right, show me proof in the pudding. Show me in the pudding where it's better.
Okay, so what my viewpoint is, and I'm going to say something radical, and then we can peel this onion back and do the best we can, because I've thought about this a lot. I don't believe in diminishing returns in the sense that most people would think at all. I don't buy it. It's hogwash. It's nonsense. And I can give some specific examples to back up what it is that I'm trying to say. And I think I can do it pretty well.
All right. Bottom line it for me, because I don't know if I'm following you.
Okay. So diminishing returns would say at a certain price point, at a certain level, we're going to see a drop off in the experience, and it's just small little things from here.
You will not continue to see a linear increase of enjoyment versus the sound.
Yep.
You'll start to see it's not going to go up in.
Correct. The reason why I don't buy it, I kind of wish that it was that simple. The reason why I don't buy it is giving a specific example. I got in a pair of speakers that were $8,500 that have won awards. They're in magazines. They are heavily celebrated as these are unicorns. These are going to blow your mind. These are incredible. And Randy, they were one of the worst sounding speakers I have ever heard. I would take I'm not exaggerating. I would take most, if not all, of the bookshelves that you have ever reviewed over these speakers. They were that bad.
Oh, I thought you were going to go different route. I thought you were going to be like, yeah, I got $100,000 pair of speakers, and it made me cry. Not because I spent $100,000, made me cry because it was the most perfect musical performance ever.
Well, we can get there, but what I'm trying to, what I want to start with my thesis here is, you can throw your money away at a bunch of a bunch of nonsense. And both objectively and subjectively, these speakers were awful. They're terrible. And not one of these awards or magazines do any kind of measurements. And so you put 2 and 2 together of what's really going on behind the scenes. You can figure that out if you think it through. And I sent the speakers back, obviously. I gave my measurements, my impressions, what I thought, and I'm done, and I'm walking away from that scenario. On the flip side, Spatial Audio Sapphires, which are $5,000. So we've now come down. We've come down in price. One of the best sounding loudspeakers that I've heard, and I would compare those to speakers that I've heard that are $15,000. And so this point of diminishing returns, it has truly been my experience is that you can waste your money on a lot of crap, and then you can find some gems out there that are expensive, but they will rival and pick fights with speakers that are far more expensive than those speakers.
I had a conversation with one of my viewers last night over email. And he was recommending a kit that I get, or he actually wanted to buy the kit and send it to me. Well, for whatever reason, the manufacturer didn't want to send it to me. And the kit shall remain unnamed. But his comment was, not the manufacturer, the viewer was, yes, this is supposed to be the best speaker under $500. And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
$500? Because if we're saying this is the best speaker under $500, or this is the best speaker at $500, well, then we're making some pretty broad assumptions, right? We're making the assumption that that speaker is voiced in a way that everybody should like it. And then we're taking a position of authority over everybody's subjective taste in what a speaker should sound like. Yeah. And that's kind of like telling someone they need to like a certain food. This is the best food under $100. Yes. Guess what? I don't like that food. So I always, whenever I hear best under 500, best under 1,000, this speaker sound, if it's a $300 speaker, this speaker sounds like a $1,000 speaker. Does it? Does it really? What does a $1,000 speaker sound like?
Right. You're right. And I think that it's just so complex. Like, these are another example. I just reviewed these. These are $4,000 for these. And the other night I did a live show, and somebody asked, hey, Ron, would you actually buy those? And I said, no, but they're still very good loudspeakers. And they do a lot of things, both objectively and subjectively, that I know for a fact a lot of audiophiles and hi-fi enthusiasts would absolutely celebrate. So,
but you wouldn't buy them because they're not your flavor,
right?
Doesn't mean that it's not somebody's flavor. It's just not Ron Burgundy's.
Exactly. These are all about presence and kind of a front row presentation. It's very exciting, and yet it never is shouty or fatiguing. So it's that front row type experience. And I got to say, a lot of people would dig what these have to offer. They're $4,000, but there are many speakers that I would buy that, I'm not joking, and this isn't a knock to them, that are $1,000 or $2,000 that I would pick before I pick these, because they're not doing what I want out of a loudspeaker. And so this conversation personally, and so the conversation of diminishing returns, it doesn't work in the context of something like this. It's like, well, somebody might definitely pay $4,000 for these, but I wouldn't, because they're not doing the things that I want in hi-fi.
But that doesn't make them bad either.
No, it does not.
It makes them great for certain people.
Yep.
And I think it just gets so jumbled together, and people want to, what's the best speaker? What's the best speaker? What's the best speaker? It depends. And I know that makes everyone's head want to blow up, but it really depends.
Yeah, it does.
That's why I think it's such a good thing to buy a laid back speaker and a lively speaker and spend time with both of them.
Sure. And
then figure out, what do I gravitate towards before you ever, like, because the worst thing is someone saves. Let's say you save up $1,000 or $1,500 to buy a pair of big boy or big girl speakers, right? And then you get them and you're like, this is it? This is it. Because it's too laid back, or it's too bright, or it's too lively, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so funny that nobody talks about that. Or not a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah.
Best speaker in $10 million, Ron.
Dude, it doesn't work. And so I think that there's times where we can bring diminishing returns into the conversation, but before we do, we kind of have to recognize that hi-fi and getting into hi-fi, it's rather complex. It's like one of the more common emails or questions that I'll get, is this guy that's like, hey, I'm thinking about upgrading my speakers. And I'm like, great, that's awesome. Show me your room. And he's like in a bedroom, or he's in just a tiny little area, and he's thinking about doing all these crazy change. And I'm like, dude, there's only so far you're going to be able to take this. It's like at some point, physics is going to show up and say, you're in a small space, and it doesn't matter what speakers you start upgrading to or what gear you start changing out. Those changes might not be all that big of a deal. And so you have to take those things into consideration. Let alone we have guys that are like, hey, man, I'm thinking about upgrading my cables, and it's like, you show me this rig and it's all wonky. It hasn't even touched acoustic treatment, hasn't even touched speaker placement, and it's just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? So
I just got a big box of cables delivered to me. I'm serious. I didn't request them. A viewer said, hey, I want to send you some cables. And I was like, all right.
Okay.
Send me some cables. So I have them. I've opened them and I kind of peeked in. There's a lot of stuff in there. And that's where they sit. So I'm going to try to figure out this cable thing. But you have to settle in on an amp and a set of speakers and a DAC before you're like, oh, yeah, this cable's so good. Because if you're switching stuff out constantly, how do you know if it's going to change anything?
Yeah, right. You're correct. And this is like, I think that we as hi-fi enthusiasts and audiophiles, we end up chasing our own tail like half of the time. And we're like, swap out this amp or that amp or this and that. And it's like, you haven't really like stepped back and look at the bigger picture of what all is happening here. What can I try for free before I even start thinking about tackling, is an amp going to make a difference? The subtleties and the changes. Because we both agree that one amp can definitely sound different from the next, but those
they all sound the same. All of them. Just kidding. Actually, I honestly thought like if you'd have told me a year ago that I'd be like, yeah, you got to make sure this amp pairs well with this speaker, I'd have been like, yeah. I'd have probably slapped the books out of your hands and then pointed at you and laughed. Like if you're drinking a latte, I definitely would have knocked the latte out of your hands and then just kept on walking.
Yeah.
But now, guess who's knocking the latte out of my hands? I don't know who it is, but it's switched.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does make sense. Totally. It does.
I had the best joke ever on the JBL review because their tweeter goes up to 40,000 hertz.
Yeah.
And I was like, 40,000 hertz? How's I bet the air's thin up there. Like a total nerd joke, like only nerds would get. And I love nerd jokes.
It's interesting with my Clio Pocket, my measurement device. I recently found a setting kind of buried way down, hard to find. Those Italians, they know how to trick you. And there's a setting to change it to 96 kilohertz instead of 48 for the sampling rate. And when you do that, behold, guess what? I can now take measurements out to 40K. And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And like these guys here, they play the same game of we measure out to 40K. And I think this is actually a good thing to talk about in terms of diminishing returns is, yeah, they do. But you want to know what that tweeter looks like up there? It's like, wow, 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 whoa. It's completely falling apart. It's doing a bunch of acrobats and ups and downs. It's literally dying up there. And so
I feel bad for it.
Yeah. I mean, it is extending out that far, way past human hearing. And we have audiophiles that will say, my speakers go out to 40K and I hear more ambience and air and extension. And I say, no, you don't.
I don't disagree. There's going to be one of the first times I disagree with you, Ron. I don't disagree with that. And I'll tell you the reason why.
Yeah.
There's still frequencies hitting your eardrum. Your brain may not be processing them as sound, but it's still stimuli,
Sure.
which is being processed somehow. It's like describing hey, what does a rose smell like? Or hey, describe the color red.
Yeah.
Without using another color.
I see what you're saying. So even though you clearly can't hear up to 40K, it doesn't mean that that's not doing something.
It doesn't mean that there's
something that you're picking up. Yeah.
And therein lies the ambiguous nature of high fidelity.
Yeah.
The tube amp.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably measure it, and you can't. How do you measure? Oh my goodness, this instrument separation! I hear it, or the 3-dimensional nature of the guitar or the singer, or how realistic. How do you measure that? Can you? I don't think so. It's all nebulous.
What you can measure and what somebody would show you is you're listening to a whole bunch of distortion. And as soon as you hear that D word, it almost puts you into a defense mode. Like, oh, you mean this thing has a whole bunch of distortion? And yes. And it sounds beautiful.
I don't care what it has. I want more of it. And I texted you today, Ron, and what did I say? I go, if this sounds this good at excuse me, at $400, I wonder what, and this goes into this conversation completely. I wonder what did I say?
At $1,000.
I wonder what $1,000 tube amp would sound like.
Yeah.
Because if it's better than this, take my money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be interesting as you dive more into tubes and you experience different tube topologies, different types of tubes. And then as you do start climbing up the ladder, if you choose to, it's going to be interesting for you to find out what I found out for myself, which is the tubes make a huge difference. No doubt about that. The iron behind the tubes, 50-50. It makes as big of a difference. And when you start getting into transformers that are custom built or made by people that know how to build a great transformer, dude, watch out, because it starts moving the needle in really interesting directions. And that might be refinement. It might be even a more open presentation. It might be more of a holographic experience. It could be more bass slam. It could be more airy and extended highs. When you start hearing that in a tube amplifier, well, then you've got an amp for life. Like, you might be done. Like, yeah, this is perfect, you know?
Yeah. So I was talking to a buddy of mine, a viewer who has become a close personal friend, and he had the same one. And he said, yeah, I sold it. I'm like, why? This is incredible. But so I've been, I guess you could say, bitten by the nebulous hi-fi bug to where, like, okay, I get it. There's something else out there. Like, I've crossed the Rubicon, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's no longer just about how stuff sounds. It's now, how does it sound I always, there was a bit of that with soundstage and imaging, of course.
Yeah.
But it still sounded like it was coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
When it sounds like it's just present.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I get it. I've been bitten and I want more. I just noticed that your words say MacGyver underneath your face.
Yeah. Today I'm MacGyver.
Did you build something?
No. I stole the name, though. So take that, MacGyver.
Yeah.
I'm going to run with it, Randy.
Well, you're committed now. It's down there.
Yeah. Yeah, I ain't changing it.
I was going to change mine to Captain Poo Poo Pants, but I couldn't figure out how to change it.
So I guess that in the traditional sense of diminishing returns, I don't think that it is as simple as saying, speaking about like loudspeakers, which is the example we've been given, when you hit a certain price point, things start tapering off. I don't think it's that easy. I will say that when a speaker is engineered well and they know what the heck they're doing, depending on that type of a loudspeaker, let's use ELAC as a great example. phenomenal example. You get into the Unify 2.0s, trying to now best that type of a design, right? Moving up the ladder, I think we can start discussing subtleties, right? There's going to be some subtle differences that we are expecting to hear when the Unify reference comes out. What will those subtleties be? Is the speaker going to sound profoundly different than what he's already done in the Unify 2.0s?
Probably not. I don't know. Maybe.
I doubt it. I think the voicing will ultimately stay the same, but knowing what I know about Andrew and what he does with the reference is he's like, I know what these kids want. They want they want bombs to be dropping. They want more. Yeah. They want the same thing, but more of it. And so the diminishing returns in that example is you're going to get deeper bass. And I think we will, The
funny thing is the UB52 is already slam. The way
slam.
it is. I mean, that was one of my biggest things about the speaker. I'm like, good gravy.
Good gravy.
This thing is,
yeah.
It picked up a piece of broken 2x4 and just started swinging around his head, knocking stuff over.
Like a madman. Yeah.
Like Hacksaw Jim Duggan rolling down Friday Night Live, whatever it was called, pumping it up in the air. And then, it just, I mean, I'm looking forward to it because I'm like, all right, whatever. Good job, Andrew, again. Yeah. But it's so interesting that, so there is, okay, let's say there's a lot of diminishing returns. Let's say the ELAC Unify UB52 is kind of a benchmark. All right.
Yeah,
so
sure.
$500. You know what? You can spend a lot more. Are you going to get measurable? Are you going to get a lot better measurements? I don't know. Maybe, whatever. Are you going to get a lot better experience? Well, again, that's kind of subjective. But then it's like you can go down like JBL Stage A 130. I'm listening to that. It's a $180 speaker. And I'm like, I like this better than the Studio 530s.
Yeah.
$180. But it's like going to that DVD bin at the Walmart checkout line. Yeah. You got to dig through a few before you find that copy of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz on the same disc. And that's the keeper. You want Simon Pegg, 2 different movies for $5.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's an analogy about it. That's a good speaker. That's what I was trying to say.
No, you're right. You're totally right. And I think that what makes it even a bit more challenging is using this Unify 2.0 as a great example. Well, what if we bring in a Magnapan LRS? What if we do that? Well, it's like the LRS is literally going to do some things that are just so crazy and mind melters, and yet they don't do half of the things as the Unify 2.0s. Dynamics, bass slam, things like that. And so diminishing
returns. It's like
returns,
comparing the best salad at $600 to the best steak at $600.
It is. And the problem is that when we start discussing diminishing returns, it really needs to be more specific in hi-fi. And that's my major point that I'm hoping people take away is it's almost like the right question would be is, Ron, if I look at the Magnapan LRS compared to the 1.7s, which are like $1,000 more, or $1,500 more.
Now we're talking oranges to oranges, apples to apples.
Exactly. Or here's another great one is, what about the Unify 2.0 Bookie versus the Towers? What happens if I decide to go Towers, Ron? Is there going to be that big of a difference? And I would tell you, in terms of the tonal characteristics in the voice and the speaker, you will hear no difference at all. None. The only thing you will notice with the Towers is you're going to be able to play them louder with more authority and confidence in the bass. So you can get your Rage the Machine going and let your neighbors and your neighbors' neighbors know that there's a concert in your house.
If you do that during a video, then you get copyrighted and all the money from that video goes back to Rage Against the Machine.
Don't do it, Randy. It's a bad idea.
Too late.
Too late.
So here's a funny thing. All right, so let's see the new Unify with the bomb dropper. Okay, so now we have the Unify bomb dropper bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that would sound like, the bomb dropper, compared to the Unify 52 floor stander. I wonder if the floor stander and the new bookshelf are going to be more similar than they're dissimilar. Huh?
Yeah.
What do you think about that
Yeah.
conundrum in your brain?
You got MacGyver. I'm going to have to go and build a contraption that gives me the answer because I don't know. That's where things would get interesting. And I would say this. This is where, and something that I plan on tackling here pretty soon is then you're going to get into the conversation of maybe I should be considering the bookies and a sub to give me a bit more versatility in terms of placement, what I want to do with it. Because guess what? As good as the towers, the Unified 2.0 towers are, they're not dropping that much lower. It's not, people
Right.
get this
It's only
wrong.
it's only a couple hertz lower.
It's literally that you can just play that bass louder. It has more heft and weight behind it. There's just more bass output, and people get this wrong all the time. And I keep trying to tell them, like, hey, if you're not cranking it, if you're not, then bookies do have some interesting advantages with
I think
a
they have
sub.
a whole heck of a lot of advantages.
They got a lot of advantages with a sub, or in 2 subs, if you don't mind. If you do
10 subs.
If you 10 subs.
So I have a question. If we're when you are ready to pivot away from this, and I hate that term because we use it all
Let's
the time.
Pivot.
All right. So bass subwoofer, low frequency here fatigue, listening fatigue. And I know that it's a thing because number one, I have gotten it before to where there's just a pressure on your ear, your ear hurts, and then I was like, turn down the gain on the subwoofer and it goes away. One of my viewers was like, I don't know what's going on. This is killing me. My it just hurts. I was like, turn your sub off and listen to the same stuff you're listening to and tell me if it hurts. And he's like, I did it, and guess what? It doesn't hurt anymore. I'm wondering if there's stored energy from the room or whatever you call it, room. What is it? Room node? Is it called a room node?
M is in Mary. Room modes, yeah.
I'm gonna call it node. Alamode.
Okay.
Alamode.
Sure.
I like Alamode better. A room Alamode. Okay. So if you have a room Alamode at a specific frequency, what's that doing? Because usually listening fatigue is associated with higher frequencies, but I've personally had it with lower frequencies.
I haven't, so I don't know if I'm just not sensitive, to that. I haven't had listening fatigue to my memory.
Have you ever had like a pair of heavy-handed noise-canceling headphones on?
Not a whole lot, Randy. I don't venture too much into noise canceling, but I have tried some. Sure, yeah.
It's similar to what that feels like.
Like that kind of
pressure.
Weird.
Yeah, just kind of an empty pressure, and it can be somewhat I don't know, not nice.
Yeah.
I guess uncomfortable.
What are some good ways to avoid like problems with diminishing returns? How can you avoid the pitfalls of wasting money on a bunch of nonsense? How can you do it?
Watch a heck of a lot of YouTube that people that you trust, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, back 20 years ago, you couldn't.
Yeah.
You had to go try it, because even if you read a great review, let's say the review, this is the best amplifier under $5,000.
Yeah.
All right. And what if it's super lush and warm and you just want detail for days? Well, then you still got the wrong amp.
Yeah. True.
I don't know. What do you think?
I do have a couple nuggets that I'm hoping will be helpful to our listeners. Number one, take a look at your placement. Take a look at the room. Take a step back and see how everything is set up, just like Randy's doing. and consider making some changes. Try experiment with different placements. If you're on, the short wall, try the long wall. If you have the flexibility of switching some things around, try that. Number 2, don't keep listening to the same music that you always listen to. This is a pitfall trap that I have fallen into this all the time, where you actually get sick and tired of playing the same music over and over and over again. Start experiencing new music, because what it's going to show you is that your system is actually maybe doing some interesting things that you just haven't heard before. And if you're just playing the same 5 tracks over and over again, you're not going to experience it. And so don't be afraid to start tackling new music, trying new music out, and just see where that goes. Because then you might not even have to spend a dime. You don't need to upgrade your amplifier or this or that. In orders of importance, I would say tackle the room first, consider placement. That is free. Speakers are going to make the biggest change after that, in my opinion, long before we start getting into the diminishing returns of, amplifiers, sources, things of that nature. Do we agree there?
I'm not disagreeing with you, but when you say tackle the room first, I'm at a loss. I wouldn't even tell somebody where to start.
Yeah.
Besides
so what
throwing up a curtain or something. I don't know. I mean, tackle the room first. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's fair. What I meant to say is I'm not even actually suggesting that you need to worry about acoustic treatment or buying anything. What I'm saying is take a look at how things are set up and experiment with changing the way things are set up. And so if you haven't ever tried pulling speakers away from the wall, moving them further apart from each other, start experimenting with that stuff first to see what happens. So that's what I meant by tackle the room first.
I gotcha.
Be willing to switch things around before you even start thinking, do I need a new CD player? Like, do that first.
Yeah. Whoa. Sorry. My voice cracked. Yeah, I like it, Ron. Good stuff. Then because you get to have it's rearranging your furniture.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes a big difference. I'm not trying to plug in my own stuff, but I do have what's called LOTS, which is loudspeaker optimization techniques for soundstage. If you're after soundstage and you want a performance in the room, then I'll leave a link that you can check out.
Why wouldn't you want to plug your own stuff?
I guess that's true. I do want to plug my own stuff. Check out LOTS because it's awesome.
Well, it's not like it's not like you're trying to sell them Amway, Ron. It's
all
free information that can maybe help them enjoy their music better.
It's just a video.
And it's not a multi-level marketing scheme that you're getting them to sign up for, and then they need to get 5 more people to sign up for.
If you act now and you reach out, I'm just kidding. No,
you can get in on the ground floor of this LOTS thing. I'm telling you right now.
It'll take
ground
off,
floor.
Guys. Ground floor. But I do want to say this, and I say this with humility. LOTS is not for every single speaker. There are some speakers that are designed to be placed closer to the wall. And so you just gotta be willing to experiment, and experimenting is free. Just takes a little bit of time to, mess around and have some fun.
You're darn right.
Yeah.
You're darn right, Ron.
Yeah.
What are you gonna have for dinner tonight?
We are doing chili, white chili, chicken chili is what we're doing. Cause we got
chili.
Yeah. White chili. Yeah. That's what, yeah.
Isn't that like bean soup? What? I don't get it. White chili. What makes it white? Alfredo sauce?
I don't know.
Like meat and Alfredo sauce. Say this is chili. It's white chili.
This is my wife. She said we're going to do white chili, and I said yes, ma'am. We are. That's what I say to my wife when she says that. I guess
you could put chili powder in like Alfredo sauce.
I think that she uses like Great Northern beans. I think she uses chicken, and I think she uses green chili, for the heat, for the spice, and we'll see where this goes. I'll send you pictures, Randy.
I know you will. You do all the time when I'm pulling leftovers out of the trash and eating it, kind of like looking around to make sure no one's watching me. I'm eating it out of the trash, and Ron's like, "Hey, look at this perfect presentation of a fancy stuffed bell pepper with farm raised onions that, sun dried tomatoes and stuff."
There is 100% chance this is true.
Meanwhile, I'm eating a pizza crust that I pulled out of the garbage and had to scrape coffee grounds off of.
One of my favorite things you've ever said is that you're like a homeless man in your own home. You just eat the kids' leftovers. That made me laugh.
They're not going to eat it, and they're throwing it away. That's my money. I don't want them to throw away my money, so I'll eat it because nobody else will.
Nobody else. Yeah, that's funny. All right, biggest takeaways. We're done here. What is your final thoughts on diminishing returns? Go.
I mean, it's a moving target, man. I mean, to your point. You can't, there are some rules that sometimes apply in some settings. For the most part, there's no broad stroke rules, except for maybe, room acoustics, but like best speaker under $200 or what's that? You're going to find gems under 200. You're going to find gems under 500. You're going to find gems over 5,000. You're going to find poo-poo balls at 8,000, right? And you're like, hey, I saved up for my $8,500 speakers, and then they're gonna be like, what? These are broken. Can I send them back? And they're like, no, there's a 20% restocking fee. Can you imagine a 20% restocking fee on an $8,500 speaker?
That would be fun to pay.
$1,500 restocking fee. Or you could buy a pair of ELAC Unify UB52s, an amp, a turntable, and something.
You could buy
else.
like 100 pairs of just have a whole wall of ELACs.
Now you can return them. There's a 20% restocking fee.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I think that it's less about how much money you spend. It's how you spend that money. That's what's important. And so I couldn't have said it any better. I think that's a great way to wrap up the show.
Awesome. You got to curate your stuff.
Yeah, we're done here, guys. All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Ron and Randy's Audio Hour. This podcast is available at all of the major podcasting locations. Information is down below.
Available at Walgreens and CVS pharmacies.
It is not, but you can shop there and buy white chili. Maybe. Coming soon. We're going to bottle it up. We're going to sell it. We're not going to sell it.
I want to hear a report.
All right, buddy.
White chili. What about green? Oh, there is green chili. That's silly, Randy. What about orange chili? Yeah. Chili's already kind of orange. Trying to think of a cup. Pink chili.
Yes, that's next. On next week's episode.
Blue chili.
There it is. Pink and blue chili. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming in today and joining us on the Ron and Randall Show.